Banks are safe. There's enough cash in the financial system, and there is an infinite amount of cash at the Federal Reserve. An infinite amount of cash at the Federal Reserve. An infinite amount of cash at the Federal Reserve. In your book, the Creature from Jekyll Island, what is the Federal Reserve, and what is your answer?
Well, what it is, it's a cartel. It's not a government agency. It has the appearance of it being a government agency, and they went to great lengths to give it that facade. It does have the power of government because Congress voted to give the power of enforcement to it. But in its essence, underneath it, it's a cartel. It's nothing different than a banana cartel or an oil cartel or sugar cartel. It happens to be a banking cartel. They got together, they drew up the rules and regulations for their own industry, to self-regulate their own industry is what cartels do. And then they sent it to Congress, and they took off the label at the top that said banking cartel, and they erased that, and they said Federal Reserve Act. Congress passed it into law, and that's why we think it's a government agency, is because if you don't obey the rules that they set down for their own industry, you go to prison. And so it looks like a government agency.
What should be done in your view with the Fed?
The Fed needs to be abolished. There's no other way around it. You cannot take the power to create money out of nothing and give it to men and expect that power not to corrupt those men.
The Federal Reserve is not federal. How many of you did not know before today that the Federal Reserve isn't federal? If you did not, don't be shy. If you didn't know before today that the Federal Reserve isn't federal, raise your hand. Most people don't know that. 9 out of 10 people that I asked off the street don't understand that the Federal Reserve is a non-auditable private banking cartel. They are collecting $36 million an hour in interest from the American people. $36 million an hour in interest from the American people.
So check this out. Just today, Federal Reserve raises interest rates to highest level in 22 years. Okay, all that interest, that falls on the people. The people, you have a job, you're paying that interest. So basically what that means is the Federal Reserve printed enough money and they're going to make you pay it back. And then your dollar starts getting worth less and less and less, which actually equates to you working more and getting less. That's called slavery without chains.
We have to maintain the confidence in the system because it's a voluntary system of payment of our taxes.
Former IRS commissioner telling you the truth, guys.
As the president is the chief executive officer of this corporation called the United States of America.
If you want to be free, you got to be willing to stand up to all those Agent Smiths out there protecting the Matrix. You got to invest into yourself and gain knowledge so you can put that knowledge into action and turn it into wisdom. Learn how to claim your nationality, stand up for your rights, be the change you want to see, because if you're not the change, nobody's going to do it for you, and we're going to all be waiting, sitting on our hands. We're going to be hoping these machines, these voting machines are going to be operating properly, but none of that really matters if it's still a corporation. Nothing changes until the corporation is gone, but how could people get rid of the corporation if they're still going to vote in a corporation vote? You're like giving it life. You're agreeing, you're okaying it. What needs to be done instead of elections and voting is knowledge, then wisdom and unity. When the people unite because they see through the veil, you won't need their corporation election. We'll get rid of them lawfully, peacefully, unifiedly. That's a word. If not, I just made it up. Pretty sure I just made that up. That's really what's going to make the change. That's how the Federal Reserve will change. Our money will become nationalized. It'll be backed by gold or silver or some precious metal instead of me and you and our labor. The birth certificate system will go away, but none of that goes away through voting. You can't fix the system through voting. I hate to tell everybody that because the system you're voting in is still their system. So all that has to change, and that only comes by you and me, and we the people. So guys, invest into yourself, get that knowledge, turn it into wisdom. We show people how to exercise their rights to the fullest while not infringing on others, number one, and keeping your butt out of trouble with the corporation, number two. Because the goal is to get more free, not less free. And that's what my family teaches from me to you. Be the change you want to see. State Nationals rock.
For the record, you have no claim against me. You've not shown me any claim. I am the beneficiary of the named estate living upon the land in the Republic. I believe you want me to stand in for the defendant as the trustee and debtor, which is a mistake for the record, which I need to correct. The record stands corrected. because that is not my capacity. And if you claim so, you need to establish documentary evidence and enter it into the record now. Do you have it? And he's shrugging, he's, fumbling through his papers, he's complaining to the judge. Judge, this is all irrelevant, we need to proceed. All right, they're gonna try to ignore you and keep moving. And you step in. Again, I ask, who here in this court who can hear my voice has a claim against me? Please come forward with your claim. Who can present a contract to which I am being held liable as the man upon the land in my venue, which is the law of the Republic? Anybody? Does anybody here have a contract here to present? Mr. Prosecutor, you want me to believe that there is a claim against me, yet you have shown nothing to this court to support your position. And then you proceed. Okay, Judge, let the court reflect that the Mr. Prosecutor has not presented to the court or to me any documentation which supports a verified claim against me. Judge, I move this court to dismiss this case as the prosecutor has failed to establish any claim upon which relief can be granted. So what you're doing here is you're basically proving that the prosecutor does not have a valid claim. They might have a citation issued by a police officer. They might have perhaps an information filed by the district attorney's office. They may even have a grand jury indictment, okay? So whatever the case is, present it. Let me see it. And you know it's going to be in the all caps name. It's not going to be against you, the man or woman living upon the land. They need to establish that they want to hold you, the human being, the individual, liable for the corporate fiction. All right, that's the whole point that we're getting at here. All right, and what you're doing is you're proving for the record that they do not have this. So we're just getting started. That's track one. Let's move to track two. Mr. Prosecutor, are you a witness on this case prepared to testify under oath with firsthand knowledge and information related to the alleged charges in this matter?
And the ladies and gents, we're going to make this really, really quick. We've been telling you all that House Joint Resolution was never the law. House Joint Resolution was never the law. The law was always called Joint Resolution or the Gold Abrogation Act or the Gold Clause Act. Provision A says, no provision contained in any contract, let's just skip all that other wording, that gives the creditor the right to require payment from a debtor in a particular kind of coin or currency or any amount of money of the United States measured thereby can never happen again. Why? Because it's against public policy. Erie versus Tompkins, the Supreme Court said that we were now under public policy. That's the law now. Hold on now. No such provision shall be contained in any contract ever again hereafter. This can't be repealed. Why can't it? Follow this. Every obligation heretofore or hereafter, whether or not the provision is contained in or made with respect thereto, shall be discharged upon payment dollar for dollar. Well, their dollars are paper. Your dollars are paper. There is no longer a gold standard, ladies and gentlemen. It is straight credit. That's why if you look at the Gold Abrogation Act, hold on now. If you look at this right here, the so-called Trading with the Enemy Act Amendment of 1933, under the new law, the money is issued to the banks in return for your draft notes, bills of exchange, and bankers' acceptances. It is at par with each other, dollar for dollar, because they're worth 100 cents on a dollar. Why? Because they're backed by your credit. You received credit when you gave your parents, grandparents, your grandpappies, even yourselves, gave up your gold in 1933 and beyond to the United States. They gave you credit in return. Don't take my word for it. Go back and read the Gold Abrogation Act or the Gold Standard Act. Pay attention. They did not repeal that section. They only repealed the section about gold not being included in a contract, a gold clause. But they did not repeal any obligation hereafter and heretofore incurred. Now, they did repeal HJR 192. Let them repeal HJR 192. It's not a law. But Joint Resolution, June 5th, 1933, that has never been repealed, people. Y'all need to be paying attention because they getting y'all, taking y'all for everything you got. Don't let them get your money. Y'all need to.
Okay, so this is how you really verify and research cases. You go find the original case you want to know about. It says that there is no license to practice law. Well, you read it, and you may not find that exact saying. So you flip through, and where there are other cases, like 60 New Mexico 304, and In Re Summers 325 U.S., and Koningberg versus State Bar of California. You go and read those cases. See? Dent versus West Virginia. And then you will find where they actually got the decision that says there is no license to practice law. They're only bar members. No state can issue a license to practice law. So, some people will mention shepherdizing. That's not really shepherdizing. That's researching and confirming the case. But that's how you do it. Once you go to the law library, you can get the book and just scan through them. You don't have to read the whole case. Make a copy, bring it home and read it. But you go to LexisNexis or Westlaw and type in that citation and pull up the case and email it to yourself, and then you can do all your research at home.
For a non-US citizen living in America, this is how you write your address. I really don't care what anyone thinks about this part. Just figure it out for yourself and do it that way. First, last, beneficiary, or authorized representative. I don't really care how you do that. But make sure you spell out east. You're not gonna do just E, okay? If it's a street, you're spelling out street. Know this, okay? No Ave, no court, no lane, spell it out. City, state. We're not doing state like this, spell it out. Your zip code is in brackets because anything that has 4 corners on a page, according to the IRS, does not exist. Here's a little bonus. If you're signing anything, it's your autograph, not a signature. So you write your autograph and then without prejudice right next to it. What does that mean? Those of you who know more than I do, please chime in if I'm missing something. But from what I understand or comprehend, you can say understand or comprehend. I don't like when people say overstand. You're not trying to over anybody, okay? That just gets on my nerves. So we understand by we know it in here, or we comprehend, we know it in here. Okay, so I comprehend that without prejudice means that I am not agreeing to something that is silently assumed onto me. So I'm only agreeing to what is presented before me and to the level of my comprehension. So that's what without prejudice means. That's what it means to me. That's what I've been told. And there you have it.